Hello and welcome to this workshop where we're going to be talking about some strategies on meal prepping. So, if you struggle with meal prepping, you struggle to stay consistent or what to make, this is definitely going to be a really good workshop for you. I'm going to break down some action steps that we can really take. Um, no matter where you're at in your prepping, you can utilize one of these strategies and implement it and slowly build that consistency in cooking from home. So, I'm health coach Shayla, and I will be walking you through this. So, what the biggest thing that I hear from clients is time is I don't have enough time, or I'm really tired after work and I don't feel like cooking and then cleaning. And so I would actually say that this is why you need to prep your food, because you don't have time. And when that happens and you're just on the go and you grab something and you're not really sure, it's not really the best thing to eat, maybe it's not the most nourishing thing, and then you're paying for it later, right? It's taking away from your health, it's taking you away from your productivity, and your goals, is which is why you join the program. So, because you're so busy, that is why planning is going to be super incredibly valuable for you. Putting something in your schedule. And so that's going to be step number one. See if you can see my screen. Is plan your meal. So create a weekly plan, including your breakfast, your lunch, your dinners, your snacks, and consider your dietary needs. What are you working on right now with your coach? What are some things that are really important for you to stick to in creating these meals? And we don't need to be chefs up in here, right? We just want to keep things really, really simple. And so on a Sunday, what can you write out for yourself that's going to be super easy and quick? What are some quick, grab and go snacks that you really like and that taste really good and that satisfy you? And so creating a weekly planner. And this doesn't mean that you're going to stick to it all the time, but it's a foundation that you're going to be creating, a guideline, as you would say, that you can stick to. And if you notice that things don't really work with this schedule, you can always move things around accordingly based on what works for you and what's going on with your week. I know that if you have kids, this is even going to be more important in creating a schedule and just having some prep things on hand, which I will share with you here in just a second. But first step is, what day out of the week can you sit down with yourself and actually create a plan of what you want to eat for the week? Which goes into the next one, is choosing a convenient day um, to plan your meals, but also to prep your meals. This is going to be incredibly important. So, ideally, we would love to prep for one day and it would last us 5 to 7 days, right? But with certain foods, we don't want to eat them that long, right? So, like things like red meat are not going to last more than 4 or 5 days unless you put it in the freezer. You prep it, you cook it, and then you put it in the freezer. But if you are prepping any red meat, ideally 4 days, depending on how well you refrigerate it and how well it is stored, you can go maybe 5 days. But in my experience and from what I've seen, more than 5 days, it gets a little questionable. So, um, ideally picking 2 days where you can prep meals. And if that doesn't work for your schedule, stick to one, right? And chicken can last a little bit longer. Fish does not last as long in the fridge. So if you're wanting proteins, if you're wanting a protein that's going to last long, chicken is going to be your best bet because it lasts the longest. Um, and so for me, what works for me is like a Sunday, I will prep a protein, a vegetable, and a carb, and that will last me 3 to 4 days. And I'll show you some quick and easy stuff that we can prep that are staples. And so Then I have Wednesday where I prep another protein, veg, and carb. And this changes, right? So sometimes I'll prep two different kinds of proteins and two different types of carbs on Sunday, and then I can interchange them in the next four days or so. And so something that's going to be super convenient for you. What are your staples? Let's think about that. What are your staple foods? Let's write those down. And what are your staple proteins? What are staple proteins, carbs, and vegetables, right? And how can you mix and match them, right? So if you have 3 or 4 of each, you can mix and match those however you want. And so looking at some gluten-free and dairy-free recipes, which you can touch base with your coach and have them send you these recipes. Something super easy. So we have pancakes here for breakfast, eggs and sweet potato and kale and bacon hash, something like this, like a shredded breakfast hash, something that's going to be super easy. You can just put in the oven. I want to get to one of these other staple recipes. So one of the staple recipes in my home is going to be like a roasted chicken. Oh, yes, I actually know where the recipe is for this one, but it's going to be like a whole bird, right? You put it in the oven for an hour, you season it, you can stuff it with some lemons, and you just walk away. And that will last, 4 days, 4 days with me and my husband. And it's so good. And with chicken, you can make that into chicken tacos. You can make that a chicken sandwich. You can make a chicken salad. You can just have chicken on the side with sweet potatoes and a veg. It's super, super easy. And so finding what your foundational foods are, and then what are some typical vegetables that you like to have, and some carbs. And you can mix and match. And so usually I will have on hand 1 to 2 proteins, 1 to 2 carbs, and 1 vegetable that I can just mix and match. And the reason I say 1 vegetable is because veggies in the fridge tend to wilt. If you cook them, they might get a little soggy. So try to be, I'm mindful on which vegetables I cook that tend to get a little bit more soggy, like asparagus. On the third day, asparagus it's not the tastiest. It's not the best. It's a little soggy because you typically roast it with butter or some type of oil. So kind of being mindful of that. But some staple vegetables is I will roast tomatoes and carrots, and then I'll mix that with some quinoa and chicken. It's so easy. And that takes me about, if I make some chicken in the oven, that's 23 minutes. It takes me 20 minutes to roast the vegetables. They're already like they're whole tomatoes, so I don't have to do any cutting. And I buy the pre-cut carrots so they look like fries. And I put that in the oven for 20 minutes. And then for the next 4 or 5 days, well, though with those vegetables, it'll last me like 3. But if I prep another something else, but pretty much for the next, 4 to 5 days, I have a vegetable and a protein prepped, and I'll put that with quinoa. And quinoa will usually last me 5 days. And so as you move through this and with your family, you'll start to know how much you need to prep and how long each food is going to last. And so this is going to take some experimenting and some time to really navigate what works well for you and your family. But just starting out with a list of 3 to 4 protein, 3 to 4 veg, and 3 to 4 carbs, it's going to make a massive difference. And picking 1 to 2 days to prep. And usually I don't spend any more than an hour in the kitchen, and that's with cooking and cleaning. So, like I said, we're not chefs up in here. We're going to make things really simple. So that's number 2. So planning your meals, creating a schedule. Look at your schedule each week. What do you want to plan for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks to have on hand? And then what are 1 to 2 convenient days that you can cook? Those are going to be your foundations. The next thing is basically what we've been talking about, is keeping it really simple, right? we have tons of recipes in here that are very simple. And part of that simplicity is utilizing cookware that's going to just do the work for you, like a pressure cooker, like an Instapot. Um, and so let me show you some pressure cooker recipes that you just literally throw in there and you can walk away and go about your business. So this is our pressure cooker recipes. And this one has the one. This is the chicken that I was mentioning that I make every week. And what's great about it is I can season it differently. I season it with like lemon pepper. Sometimes I'll do Cajun. Sometimes I'll do like a smoky type of taste. And I can pair it with whatever I want. I've even done a chicken wing with not a barbecue sauce, but like the chicken wing sauce. And I just get the Primal Kitchen sauce and I marinate it on top of the chicken and then I bake it. It's so easy. And then you can just pair that with whatever you want on the side. Here is a pressure cooker squash bowl. So these are great. Soups are great for the winter and for the fall. And so these are also just really easy. They're grab and goes. You heat it up and then you're done, right? You just got to make it. And so this one does take a little bit longer, but you can make a big serving for you and your family, and they'll last. This is another chicken dish, chicken and vegetables, and you just put it in the pressure cooker. This is a very popular recipe. A lot of my clients really love this recipe of like stuffed bell peppers. And you don't need to do bell peppers. You can do like stuffed zucchini boats as well. And you can like mix and match. So something like this, I think, is going to be very well rounded for if you have a family. It has like beef, you can, swap it out for chicken. And then if you're not doing any dairy, you can take out the dairy. So something super easy, and this is very filling as well. Pressure cooker with this is a sweet potato mash, another carrot and ginger soup, things like this. What's really gonna be a game changer is seasonings, getting some really good quality seasonings so the flavors and the aromas come out, and you don't get so burnt out eating the same thing. So I pretty much eat the same things just with different sides and different seasonings. But the staple in our home is beef, chicken, and sometimes we'll do some fish, but we'll do different cuts of chicken, different cuts of beef. We season them differently. And so getting a variety of seasonings is going to make a world of a difference. So keeping it very simple and just some ideas around snacks. What kind of snacks? And so ideally we want to get full with our main dishes, but sometimes when we're on the go, we're really hungry. So apples and almond butter, celery and almond butter. I really like snacking on raw bell peppers or carrots, or I'll cut up some cucumbers and mix it with some avocado and tomatoes and then squeeze some lemon on it. Making smoothies. Smoothies are going to be also a really fantastic way to have something just on the go, taste good. If you're somebody who craves sweets, these smoothie recipes are going to be your best friend. So let me share this with you. Okay, so these smoothies, it's a great way for a breakfast as well as a snack, but you're getting a lot of fiber, you're getting a little bit of your sweet tooth, you're also getting a lot of vitamins and minerals, and it's an easy, digestible food. It's in a liquid form. So these are absolutely phenomenal to check out, to experiment with. If you have kids, it's a great way to implement healthier snacking with the kids and for them to get in their fruits and vegetables in an easy, digestible way, and it tastes good because you can sweeten it up naturally. So I love these. These are great for snacks. I have a smoothie every single day, even in the colder seasons. So it's kind of just learning how to mix and match stuff for the flavor palette that you're looking for. And there's some really good stuff in here for gut health. Like you can add collagen, you can add the gut alamine supplement to the smoothies, which makes it a lot easier to take. Um, so yes, these are great. It's all about just kind of finding what works, creating that system, starting off really simple, and as you start to get the hang of it and you start to feel more confident in the things that you're actually making and not letting it go to waste, then we can explore and be a little bit more adventurous. But stick to the things that you know you're going to eat so that way when you buy groceries, they're not getting wasted in the fridge. And so start off small. Start off with like one, max two recipes a week. Um, or just starting off with your simple staples and then just elevating the quality of the ingredients. I hope you guys are following me. I hope that this is providing some value and some easy steps as well. The next is variety is key. So one of the biggest things that I also hear in clients say is that they are bored. They're bored with what they're eating. They're kind of tired of the same old things. And so this is where variety comes in hand. We definitely don't want to keep eating the same things. We want more variety in the diet. So a good way to do this is add in 1 to 2 new food groups a week for you to experiment with. There is a whole foods list that we have. And if you don't have this document, connect with your health coach and they will send this over to you. But we have a bunch of resources for you to make this easier and more simple. But here is our whole foods list. Let's see if this shares. There we go. So you have fruits, you have root vegetables, tubers. We have broken this down for you to, different types of vegetables, but there is a whole wide range of vegetables that you can try. Some of these you may be really familiar with, some of these you may like or you've never tried. But I invite you to have an open mind and try something new. One thing that I really do love making is like bok choy. Bok choy is almost like spinach um, mixed with like a cabbage, and they're really tasty and they're very common in more like Asian foods. And you compare it with like chicken or beef or fish. So things like this. So kind of get an idea of like if there's a recipe that you want and you're kind of tired of that ingredient, you can look in here and switch it out, right, with something else. There's also going to be some fermented foods if you want to experiment with fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut. There's fermented carrots. There's going to be all different kinds of proteins in here, starchy carbs. There's even swaps that you can make. So instead of if you're avoiding corn, you can have um, coconut flour, almond flour, spelt flour, chickpea flour, all these different kinds of flours, cassava flour. There's so many things that we can alternate, especially also too with pastas. If you want to make a pasta dish, but you want it to be a little bit healthier, you can either switch the pasta to like a mung bean, a lentil, garbanzo bean, all of these different types of different pastas, or you can switch it out for spaghetti squash. Here's going to be some healthy fats and oils that you can incorporate. And fats are going to be really important to help you stay satiated longer. So if you're finding that you're hungry after your meal still, or you can only go 2 hours between meals, try adding in some more healthy fats. That this will definitely help increase your satiety and yeah, just add in more of those fat soluble vitamins and keep you fuller longer. So lots of options in here, lots of things that we can definitely interchange. But the main thing is like keeping it simple and adding in just 1 or 2 new foods a week for you to experiment and try. And that gives you the opportunity to learn how to learn what works and kind of get out of the same old groove you've been in. So, last one is um, making it enjoyable. So, part of cooking, it's not always fun, especially if you're the one who's doing all of the cooking and all of the cleaning. It can be really, it can feel more like an obligation, and it feels um, just not fun, especially if you come home after a long day. The last thing you want to do is cook, right? You want to go and relax and sit down, and you just want to heat something up and eat it. You don't want to have to make it and take everything out. And so that's where all of the other steps come in. That's where the planning, like sitting down and creating a planner, right? That's what we talked about. Planning your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, staying prepared, choosing a convenient day to cook, keeping things really simple, having variety so you do not get burnt out. And maybe when you're doing it on the days that you're cooking and you're prepping, part of making it enjoyable is maybe listening to a podcast while you do it, listening to a book while you an audiobook while you cook, listening to your favorite music. Me and my husband, we make a event out of it. So, we'll cook together. Excuse me, we'll cook that night for dinner together, and then we will prep for the week. So it's like an event. Like we have our little at home like date night. We'll put on some jazz music. And we just hang out. We're present with one another. We are connecting. We may have like a glass of wine together, and just prep our dinner. And then we make extra for the week together. And then we together clean the dishes. And so it makes things like way more enjoyable. We are connecting, we are nourishing ourselves, and we're putting more love into our food, right? Because we want this food to nourish us, and the energy that we put into it when we're cooking it totally matters. So I don't know if you've ever cooked when you're mad, but the food doesn't come out the same as when you're loving it and you're present in the moment. So um, making it an event, inviting a friend over, like, hey, do you want to prep together or have dinner together with a friend? And this is part of nourishing relationships, right? Or it could be telling yourself, hey, I really don't want to cook, but you want to do XYZ afterwards. Maybe it's watching your favorite movie. Maybe it's reading your favorite book. Maybe it's going for a walk afterwards, or whatever that could be. It's like doing the thing, cooking, and then doing something afterwards that you may be looking forward to. And so it's kind of setting yourself up for success and shifting your perspective into a positive mindset, because cooking and eating more from home, one is going to be nourishing your body because you're in control of what you're eating. And two, you're learning a skill of how to navigate cleaner ingredients and things that taste good. And so if we integrate other aspects of a nourishing relationship or a learning piece to it, like listening to a podcast or a book, you're nourishing another part of your life as well. So make it fun, make it enjoyable. It doesn't have to be an obligation. It doesn't have to take you 2 hours to cook. It can be something very, very simple and easy. And so I hope that this has provided you with some value, some insights, and some steps that you can walk away with. If you have any questions, connect with your health coach, and they would be happy to support you. So we look forward to seeing you in our next workshop. And until next time, have a great rest of your day, evening, or week. Bye-bye now.